Hi guys, welcome to another instalment of Mr. Allen's Adventures. Today we're going to learn about biomes. Here I am in a woodland setting, local to me. It's Redisher Woods, which is in Ramsbottom, Bury. We're going to learn about this biome and hopefully a few others as we go along. So grab your explorer hats and let's go. Hello explorers, welcome to Mr. Allen's World As Is, where we discover the wonders of our planet. Today we're going on an adventure to explore biomes. But what exactly is a biome? A biome is a large area of the earth with a particular climate, plants and animals. The climate, which is things like temperature and rainfall, decides what kind of life can survive there. Let's explore some of the world's major biomes together now. Brr, welcome to the taiga or boreal forest. This biome is cold for most of the year and has trees with needle-like leaves, like pine and spruce. Animals like moose, wolves and bears have thick fur to keep them warm in this biome. Now let's head to the desert. It's super dry and can be really hot during the day and freezing at night. Animals like camels, meerkats and lizards have special ways to survive without much water. Some plants like cacti store water in their thick stems. Next we visit the grasslands. These open spaces have very few trees but lots of grass, making them perfect for animals like lions, zebras and elephants in Africa's savannas. In other parts of the world, you'll find bison and antelope in temperate grasslands. Fires and grazing animals help to keep the grasslands healthy. Now we're in tundra. It's so cold that trees can't grow here. The ground is frozen for most of the year, but in summer, some hardy plants like mosses and shrubs grow. Arctic foxes, reindeer and polar bears have special adaptations to survive here. Our next stop is a tropical rainforest. It's warm, wet and full of life. Did you know that over half of the world's animals and plants live in rainforests? Creatures like jaguars, tree frogs and parrots call this place home, but rainforests are in danger because of deforestation, which means cutting down too many trees. Now let's explore the temperate forest together, which is found in places like the UK. These forests have different seasons: spring, summer, autumn and winter. Trees like oaks, ash, maples lose their leaves in autumn, and animals like foxes, owls and hedgehogs live here. Come with me as we explore the temperate forest together. Not forgetting the aquatic or marine biome. These are water-based biomes like oceans, lakes and rivers. Places like the Arctic and Antarctic are considered to be tundra. However, they are also considered deserts due to the low precipitation. The extremely low temperatures limits the type of life that can exist there. So today we're going to be learning about the temperate deciduous biome, which is one we're in now. Look around. British woodland. Lots and lots of forests in England. We'll learn about what a temperate forest is and compare it with others around the world. And hopefully we'll get to see what kind of diversity is in the plants and the animals that we come across in this type of biome as well. So follow me, we'll take a look around and see what we can find. Okay, first things first. You may be asking, what is a biome? Well, think of Earth like a giant jigsaw puzzle. A biome is a large area of land with its own special climate, plants and animals, all fitted together to form our world, depending on where it is in the world as well. It will be in the northern or southern hemisphere or around the equator. Own special biomes there. So, as mentioned, I'm in a temperate deciduous forest biome, which is our own biome in the UK. Take a walk with me, let's see what we can find out about this biome. This biome has 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn and winter. That means the trees lose their leaves in autumn and grow them back in spring. The word deciduous means falling off, just like the leaves. If you look on the floor, you can see all the leaves that have fallen off during the previous autumn and winter. And if you take a look at the trees, as we're in the middle of February now, spring is approaching and the trees are actually in bud, ready for the leaves to grow fairly soon, actually, March, April, and the seasons change again. As we know, the UK has a fairly mild and rainy, quite rainy at times, climate, which helps the plants and animals and the forests grow. It gets quite a lot of rain every year, and the trees lose their leaves in winter simply because it helps them to conserve energy during the winter months, and also it's a safety mechanism for when it's windy as well. They're not as heavy, they don't get blown over as much, which is why they're deciduous. And the word temperate means not too hot, not too cold, unlike the tropical rainforest, which is hot and humid all the year round. Common trees here include oak, beech, ash and birch trees. Birch trees are easy to identify because of the silver bark, which is here. It's good for flaking off and good for kindling for fires and things like that. Also, the forest floor is littered with ferns and moss, which is really important for the biodiversity, along with mushrooms and other fungi as well. I know a joke about that. Have you seen Shroom? He's a fun guy. Get it? Now, at the moment, I've not been lucky enough to see any of the wildlife that we would see normally in a woodland. Perhaps a little bit shy today, but it is normal to see foxes, badgers, hedgehogs, deer, owls, and even during the springtime, woodpeckers. You can hear this distinctive tapping sound upon trees. I wasn't really lucky enough to see any wildlife when I was out today, but here are some pictures of some wildlife you might find in the deciduous forest biome. Now, very often in a forest, deciduous forest biome like this is, you'll find a stream or a river running through it as well. Sometimes you might be even lucky enough to find a little bit of a waterfall, as we've got right here. The stream and water is also important for the biodiversity of the biome, supporting the wildlife, the vegetation, and also it sculpts the landscape, as you can see with the deep V-shaped valley cutting that we've got here. What a lovely waterfall. Chuffed with that find. You do have to be mindful though when you are out and about in the forest that, first of all, if you're young, make sure you're with an adult and you follow all the adult safety advice. But if you're not so young, like me, you keep yourself safe and well away from the steep edges of the valley. I know it's a public footpath, but it is a little bit precarious, and there are trip hazards as well you need to look out for. But getting outside is one of the best things you can do. It's so good for your mental health and just reconnects you with the world and nature, not just stuck in front of a screen or Xbox or PlayStation every single day. It really is good for the soul to be out here. All forests have layers. The rainforest has layers, and deciduous forests, temperate forests, have layers made up of taller trees in the canopy. And as we go further down, smaller shrubs and trees. And then as we go down again, obviously the forest floor, which is full of moss and ferns and other smaller plants, and also all the decaying vegetation as well, like tree trunks and leaves that have fallen off during the previous autumn. Just going to have to watch my step down here. It looks a bit steep and muddy and slippy. Let's see how this goes. Whoops. Slowly does it. Here we go. Whew, nearly slipped there. Good thing I got one hand to hold on with, isn't it? Moss just loves this damp climate at the bottom on the forest floor of the temperate forest. But you can also see that we still have a little bit of ice here. It's been a bit cold. It feels a bit chilly actually today. As you can see now here, the river's, the valley is actually flattened out a little bit, and the river has got a little bit wider, where it's nice and straight. You can see here that the actual forest has been paved or pathed, or paths have been made for leisure purposes, for people to walk the dogs or to come and enjoy a little bit of time in the forest. There's pros and cons of that, but I for one am glad that we're able to do this. Very often in the UK these days you won't really find a forest that's not been touched by human activity. Obviously this is a waterfall, you can see here, but it's not a natural waterfall. It's been created in the use of a mill. This is the site of an old mill where the water was used to power. I'm assuming that it would have been some sort of water wheel that would have been used for the power of the mill. I'm not too sure, but that's what I'm assuming anyway. But yes, lots of forests have been touched by humans, but once the mill's disappeared, you can see how nature has taken back over. Nature is surprisingly resilient. However, there are a few issues which we'll discuss later on in this video. Here's an example of some fungi growing on a rotten tree trunk here, along with some mosses. Have a look at the length of the log. Obviously been chopped down with some forest management. Sometimes forests need management, human help, to... Also, don't forget the mini beasts. Woodlands are full of beetles, worms, ants and butterflies. Super important food for the food chain. These are the unseen workers, the insects. They play a vital role in the health of our deciduous forests, from pollinating flowers to decomposing fallen leaves. Each one plays a unique role in maintaining the delicate balance of this vibrant ecosystem. These little guys certainly keep the place tidy and plants happy. Living in this biome isn't easy. You have to be able to adapt. So let's check out some survival strategies. Trees grow thick bark to survive the cold winter. Squirrels gather and bury acorns when they can, so they can have food when it's cold. Deer have brown fur to camouflage within the trees, so it's not easy for predators or anything that wants to hunt them to see them. Owls are nocturnal and they hunt at night when it's a bit quieter. What's your favourite animal, I wonder? Now this is fascinating little, well, I suppose you call it organism. It's called lichen. It's a team of tiny two living things working together. It's made up of fungus and an algae, sometimes called bacteria. The fungus is like a house. It gives lichen shape and protects it. The algae is like a chef that makes its food using sunlight. Lichens can grow in really tough places like rocks, tree bark, and even on old walls. They come in different colours: green, yellow, orange and grey. Even though they look like plants, they aren't. They help clean the air and show if a place has good or bad air quality. So have a look for lichen when you're out and about. Fascinating. So earlier on we talked about biomes being under threat, and that is true. I suppose the biggest threat is humans. The UK alone had acres and acres and acres of forests in the past that have been chopped down for farmland and housing. And the other biggest threat is climate change, where plants and animals can't evolve and adapt quick enough for the change in temperature, where it gets too warm or too cold or the weather gets too extreme. So climate change is a biggie as well. Obviously with climate change you get flooding, deforestation, which is why forests like this are really important. As we've seen just recently in the floods that we had in the winter, lots of places have had the trees chopped down, so there's now no trees that hold the soil together, which helps protect places against floods. So climate change is a biggie, and human activity is also a big one. So what about food chains? Well, in a forest setting like this you've got plants and leaves, caterpillars. The bird eats a caterpillar, the larger animals eat the bird, the fox eats the bird for example, and it goes wrong. You take one of those things away and the whole system is affected, not just with food chains but also the biodiversity of the place as well. You affect one thing, other things are affected too. It's like a domino effect, and sometimes the consequences of which are not always known originally. In a temperate forest, a food chain is a way to show how energy flows from one living thing to another. It all starts with the plants, like trees and bushes. They're called producers because they make their own food using sunlight. This is called photosynthesis. Then come the animals. They eat the plants like deer, squirrels or rabbits. They're called consumers because they eat other things for food. These animals might then get eaten by other animals, like a fox or an owl. This is how the energy from the plants moves through the forest. At the end of the chain we have decomposers like mushrooms and bacteria. They break down dead plants and animals, putting important nutrients back into the soil so that the new plants can grow. It's like a recycling system for the forest. So a simple food chain in a temperate forest could look like this: plant, which is a producer; deer, consumer; fox, which is a secondary consumer; and mushroom, which is a decomposer. Remember, it's not always in a straight line. Sometimes animals eat more than one type of food, and some animals might be eaten by different predators. That's when we get a food web. Before we go, it's worth pointing out some comparisons between temperate biomes and rainforest biomes. Rainforests are hot and wet all year round. Temperate forests have warm summers and cold winters. Each has its own set of animals and plants particularly suited to the environment. Rainforests are found near the equator, in South America and Asia among the continents to have them. Temperate forests are found in places like North America and Europe, and particularly the UK, where we are now. So, to sum up, biomes are interconnected, and one can influence others, a bit like the ecosystem we talked about earlier. Climate change is affecting all biomes around the world in a massive and mostly negative way. Humans have a responsibility to protect the plants, habitats and animals in each biome, because our future depends on it too. Well, that's it for my exploration of the deciduous forest biome. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please consider subscribing and liking. I'll be back soon with another video. Bye bye.